being completely honest, because I feel like being honest, being vulnerable is the only real way that we can help each other. For most of my life, I've struggled with feeling not competent enough, not confident enough, having this idea of what I should be in order to feel confident. When I look around and when I've discussed this with friends and family and those I care about, the perception that they have of me is like, well, you have every reason to be confident. You're skilled, you are competent, you always get things done. Like, I would never have known that you didn't feel confident. It's always sort of bugged me of like, I wish I felt just naturally confident. And so I have to use a lot of these different techniques in order to get around this feeling of imposter syndrome that I deal with quite frequently, not feeling confident enough, comparison, right, to other people. When I was younger, always had management jobs where I, managed employees, and I was always among the youngest. And I used to really battle against that, thinking they're not going to take me serious. The people that I'm managing, they're much older than me. They're, probably looking at me like, who is this kid? But the fact of the matter was I was responsible and I was competent at my job. And I found out, through working with them years later, like they looked at me and they felt intimidated because they were like, oh, here comes this younger, smarter whippersnapper, and he's going to come and like take over all our jobs. And so they felt insecure because they were older than me. I felt insecure because I was younger than them. And so there's a lot of just mind games here. So I'm going to share with you one of the tricks that I've used that if you struggle with any sort of confidence issues or just those times when you want to just push through, right, despite how you feel, act as if. Act as if. If I could just blank, then I would blank. What if you act as if you already had whatever it is that was in that blank? So if I just had more time, then I would write. Well, what if you just wrote anyways? What if you only wrote for 5 minutes, 10 minutes? We all know that adds up, right? If I could just have my kids grow up and leave the house, then that's when I'll be able to work on that memoir, right? Well, what if you did it anyways? What if you did it while they were there? If I just felt more confident, educated, if I was just taller, if I was just shorter, if I was just smarter, if I was just better looking, you know the drill. What if you acted as if you already were those things? And I say act because it really can be an act, and it can actually be fun. What if you literally put yourself in an actor role? You hear these actors interviewed all the times, for these various roles. Maybe it's outside of their normal character, and usually, the interviewer will say, was it fun acting as if you were this character? Was it fun playing that role? And many times they're like, yeah, it was a blast. I really got to explore what that would be like. And I have found that you can really do this and achieve results. You may have flippantly heard the phrase, fake it till you make it. I think there is some truth to that. We laugh at that and just think, yeah, fake it till you make it. But there is some truth to that. In fact, one of the books I read over the last couple of years is Todd Herman's Alter Ego Effect. Todd works with like peak athletes, Olympians, professional sports players, football players, golfers, people that need to be at the top of their game. One of the things that he always has them do is, create an alter ego so that it's not the person they are that's going out on the field. They go out on the field as this different identity, right? So let's unpack this a little bit and how we can actually bring this to our own lives. So I'm going to tell you a little story. When I was younger, probably, 10 years old or so, my friend Matt and I would play these games of baseball in my front yard. We lived in like a cul-de-sac, and so we'd start at my driveway. If we hit a home run, it was like past the house on the edge of the cul-de-sac, past their mailbox, right? We'd have the whole thing mapped out. We had teams, players had stats, we had a strategic batting order. It was just like a real game, right? We put the batters in the third and fourth position that were the best hitters, had the highest batting averages. It was like a real game, except it wasn't. There was only 2 players. It was just me and my friend Matt. Now, when I was up to bat, my team consisted of, various players. Some weren't that great. And others, like this one player, Jose, every time he got up to bat, he had the highest batting average. This guy was a beast. He was huge. He had bulging biceps, forearms that looked like Popeyes. Everybody knew when Jose came up to bat, there was a good chance it was going to be a home run. This particular day was no different. Bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, full count, Jose's at the plate. Bases are loaded. This could win the game. My friend winds up his pitch, throws the ball, and sure enough, Jose smashes it. He takes his victory lap around the bases. The crowd goes wild. Jose has done it again. My friend hangs his head in defeat, and he's just shaking his head, and he's like, I knew it. I knew it. The second I saw Jose was up to bat, I knew the game was already over. Now, the interesting thing about that, as I think about this so many years later, Jose literally, when he was up to bat, like, we'd go through the whole lineup of all these different players. And Jose always hit the ball more times than the rest of the players. And usually it was a good hit. It was like a home run. But the interesting thing was, he was so much better than all the other players. But Jose was Joseph, and so were all the other players. It was the same person, but somehow this particular player hit better than the rest. How can that be? And my friend would even try harder when he was pitching to Jose, because he knew we got to get this player out. But yet this player was not some big, huge dude. He didn't have bulging biceps and forearms like Popeye's. In fact, his arms were probably thinner than the bat he was holding. It's a pretty scrawny 10-year-old. And yet this player would crush it every time he came up to bat. So why is that? Well, let's break it down, what we know. You remember Amy Cuddy's TED Talk, Power Pose TED Talk. And if you're not familiar with this, I highly recommend you Google Amy Cuddy TED Talk. It's one of the most viewed TED Talks of all time. She's the psychologist that did this study of participants where they put themselves in different poses. Low power poses would be when you're closed off, when you're not very confident. High power poses are the ones like the Superman pose, or those that are sitting in their chair, they're way opened up, or they're sitting with their arms back. If you sit like that for 2 minutes, her studies showed that testosterone levels increased and cortisol levels decreased. So public speakers can use this when they're, backstage before they get ready to go up on a talk, simply getting in a powerful pose when you want to feel more confident. Now I think back about what I've learned about psychology and all that, and I think, okay, yes, when I was that Jose player showing up to bat, I stood up taller, I walked as if I was this bigger, better baseball player, and I had a belief in my head that the chances of me hitting that ball were greater because I was, after all, Jose. And I watch my son do it all the time when he's pretending to be Batman. My son usually, I swear, he gets hurt multiple times a day. He's not the toughest kid, let me be honest. I'm constantly telling him, you gotta shake it off, son. Like, you're gonna get hurt a lot in life. You can't cry over every hurt. But interesting, when he's playing Batman and he slams into like the side of the table, and I'm like, oh shoot, like that had to hurt. Like, I saw that. I'm okay to see him cry in that situation, and he shakes it off. And I'm like, are you okay, son? And he's like, yeah, Dad, Batman's tough. It's interesting. But yet Batman is still him. How can he be tough just in the belief that he is Batman? And see, we have that same creative ability as adults. We just tend to grow out of it a little bit. That same ability that I had as a scrawny 10-year-old to walk up to bat as Jose and somehow crush the ball. I was acting as if I was a player who was actually good and who could actually hit the ball. And in Todd Herman's book, The Alter Ego Effect, he talks about all of these Olympic athletes, these professional athletes that play at the top of their game, all have this in common, where they have this belief, this acting as if they're walking out into the field as this alternate identity. And so what if we acted as if we were already there? What if we acted as if we were already that confident writer? We acted as if we were already accomplished. We already knew we were going to get the results. How much different would that look for you? And if you're not sure what that even looks like, maybe picture somebody that you already admire, somebody you already look up to. What do you picture them doing when they're sitting alone at their desk and they're just not feeling it? What do they look like? What is their stance? What is their posture? What is their motion? Are they typing anyways? Are they pacing the floor? Are they sipping their coffee? Are they writing in their pad of paper? What if you did this little experiment on yourself and you gave yourself this alternate identity? You came up with your own Jose. What would that look like if you acted as if? I did this way back in my corporate world when I said I was a manager of the staff that was all older than me. I acted as if I didn't feel inferior. I acted as if I owned the place. If I was the rightful manager. And they never knew the difference. And soon enough, I started to believe it. So I've said this many times, we need to act the way we want to feel. You don't wait until you feel it first. You first act, and then you feel. And you'll prove it to yourself through these small wins over time. So give that a shot. Go out there and act as if you are already that accomplished person. You already have that blank filled in. And allow yourself to have fun with it. Give yourself permission to bring back some of that childhood imagination and tap into that a little bit. I think our imagination and creativity can play way bigger role than we think. Just one little hack that I've used over and over and over again that has helped me immensely. So hopefully it can help you as well. Super fascinating that, see, like our body doesn't know the difference. We act as if we feel confident. All of a sudden, our mind falls in line. Oh, okay. I guess we're confident now, huh? It's funny that just by changing our behavior, our physiology, that all of a sudden our psychology changes as well. So go out there, act as if you are already where you want to be, who you want to be. All right, Unchained Writers, big Unchained Writer group hug, virtual high fives all around. Don't forget, give yourself that well-deserved pat on the back, credit that you deserve for showing up even when you don't feel like it, even when you don't feel motivated. Go out there and act as if you've already gotten it. Look forward to being back with you real soon. And until then, I'll be here cheering for you. Bye, everyone.